Reality starts as a dream. Then you become aware of the dream. As the dream, which quickly becomes dreams, unfolds into the now of each moment, you perceive them all simultaneously. Then, every moment exists within the now of all moments. In the fifth dimension we can interact in a way that appears to exceed physical laws. As an example, there are infinite numbers of realities fused together into the unity from the continuum of space-time to create a seamless series of realities that blend and intermingle while they still maintain their personal integrity. Fifth-dimensional reality is still as vivid as third and fourth-dimensional realities, but there is no difference between past, present, and future. In fact, when perceived from the fifth dimension, the concepts of past, present, and future are considered illusions because they are perceived from the perspective of the fifth-dimensional now. Almost all civilizations at our level become extinct before they become technologically mature. The extinction is because, if you cannot live in unity and respect for all life within your daily life, you will not be able to use the advanced technology for the good of all. It is for this reason that our galactic technology has not been released to our dear friends and family who are wearing a human Earth vessel. Even though we know that our away team would use the technology for the greatest good, there are still too many humans who are ruled by greed and power over others. Our galactic technology must be perceived as a means to help everyone, not as a means to make money to better control and dominate others. Within our fifth-dimensional society, there are no others, as we do not perceive a separation between us. Instead, we perceive how our auras overlap and intermingle. It is this intermingling of auras that allow us to release all versions of verbal speaking. When we channel to our away team, we speak via telepathy and allow our friends in physicality to interpret our message through their own experiences. It is for this reason that there are myriad interpretations for any one interdimensional message. We take advantage of this situation in that we send out our messages, and each grounded one who receives it will share it with others in a different manner. We enjoy perceiving how individuality functions in your third-fourth dimensional world. We have observed that many still trapped in the third-fourth dimension are able to find, accept, and integrate their fifth-dimensional consciousness. However, we suggest that you begin to release your attachment to individuality, as you will not exist in a physical manner in the higher worlds. But, do not be concerned, as the experience of living in unity consciousness and unconditional love with all life gives you the experience of freedom from all fear. In your third-dimensional world, you experience unconditional love and freedom from fear as euphoria. Unfortunately, you are often separated from these feelings. Another great separator besides individual consciousness and conditional love that exists on your planet is money. Some have more money than they could spend while others barely have enough money to survive. Some people must live off their land. Living off the land was once common, honorable, and very effective. Then the Dark Ones deeply penetrated your frequency of reality, ruined vast areas of land, and hoarded huge sums of money while others literally starved to death. However, we speak to you now, not to talk about separation, but to discuss the freedom you will experience once the means for separation are released from your reality. Actually, separation will not be released from the third dimension. You will be released from the third dimension. There are no fifth-dimensional realities that have any form of money. It is not necessary because we can all manifest whatever we need with our consciousness. We Arcturians come to you in the midst of your great challenges to remind you that your personal and planetary goal is to ascend yourselves and your planet, and to take as many as possible with you. The number of fifth-dimensional realities is infinite because the fifth dimension is free of the third-dimensional constrictions of time and space. It is also free of your third-dimensional separation into unconscious, conscious, and superconscious. We wish to remind you that your unconscious is a powerful tool for ascension. In fact, it is usually your unconscious with whom we communicate. You see your unconscious as your interdimensional self. Your unconscious is the you who knows all of the secrets from which your conscious ego self must hide in order to maintain a consistent version of reality. Your unconscious self exists in the near future, the present, and the past. It also exists in your collective consciousness with all life. Your unconscious self deeply understands the collective, as it remembers when you were a young child and saw all life as part of your bodily self. Your deep, unconscious self affects all quantum events, because it is the you that is connected to the neural net of Gaia's planetary body. Gaia's neural net is a crystalline structure that surrounds her planetary body and feeds into her brain. Gaia's brain is her central core crystal, which is surrounded by the 4 cornerstone crystals, which are aligned with the north, east, south and west. Within your now, Gaia's core crystal is being recalibrated to return back to Gaia's true multidimensional nature. Gaia became tipped on her axis when Atlantis fell into the sea, and her core crystal became engaged in survival rather than ascension. Unfortunately, the very beings that created this near disaster are wearing human Earth vessels within your now. These lost ones would choose to destroy the entire planet rather than to allow it to move into the 5th dimension. These lost ones believe that they could never expand their consciousness to that frequency. Hence, they feel that they must halt this ascension, as they do not believe that they could expand their consciousness into that frequency of reality. They are, indeed, correct. It is the frequency of one's consciousness that calibrates them into alignment with any given reality. While Gaia's central crystal is being recalibrated back into its innate multidimensional frequency rate, our ones on Earth's surface must focus on transmuting the fear and anger, which almost destroyed Gaia, into the multidimensional consciousness and unconditional love that will heal Gaia. Since it was the ones wearing an Earth vessel that so greatly harmed Gaia, the ones wearing an Earth vessel must be the ones to heal it. Fortunately, it does not need to be the same people who created the harm, as many of them are far from expanding their consciousness. Therefore, the task of ascending Gaia is left to those who have opened their hearts and expanded their minds enough to live within the knowing of unconditional love and the power of the violet fire. In fact, one must be centered within unconditional love before they can connect with the power of the violet fire. Because the violet fire has such an immense ability to transmute reality into a higher frequency of expression, one must resonate to unconditional love for all life, before they can gain access to the power within that fire. This limited access was vital so that the violet fire could not be used for selfish or destructive reasons. Actually, the violet fire, violet being the highest spectrum of third-dimensional light, is unimaginable to most of those who are still driven by selfish intent. To assure that one who has become lost to darkness cannot use the violet fire, unconditional love surrounds it. Unconditional love is not perceivable via one's third, fourth dimensional senses because it resonates to the 5th dimension and beyond. Hence, unconditional love is impervious to all manners of darkness. Unconditional love filling one's aura protects them, because they become psychically invisible to any who are lost to the darkness. Please remember that one cannot perceive anything that resonates to a frequency of reality beyond their state of consciousness. It is this rule that protects our volunteers to Earth, as it provides them with a shield of invisibility. It is true though, that some of our grounded ones lost their connection to that shield and/or were ready to complete their mission and return home. We tell you this because we want you to know that there is not death. There is only a return. Unfortunately, those who came to Gaia from darker worlds with negative intentions will return to that reality. That is, unless they have awakened and returned to their soul connection, which was severed early in their training to follow darkness, greed, and destruction. Few humans are born with such negative intentions. Most of the Dark Ones suffered greatly as children, and were indoctrinated into the darkness. We say this to you now because many of those who live within the power over others' consciousness, have an innocent, sweet, and loving child who is trapped deep in their unconscious mind. If you, our volunteers to Earth, send unconditional love to the Dark Ones, you may be able to break their programming. In fact, there are many descendants of the Dark Ones who were born just after World War II or younger, that are breaking free of their early brainwashing. It is for this reason that we ask you to send unconditional love and violet fire to those whom you have formerly hated and feared. As you well know, any hate or fear that you have for another collects within your own unconscious self, to limit you to a lower state of consciousness. On the other hand, when you send unconditional love to that which you fear, you transmute your own fear into the very power that is necessary for you to victoriously deal with each 3D issue. When you have achieved this victory over fear, and have transmuted your fear into unconditional love, we ask that you ground your entire victorious process into the neural net of Gaia's physical surface and interior. We suggest that while you ground your victories in the light into Gaia's neural net, to also plant them into Gaia's core and cornerstone crystals. Gaia's internal crystals are her brain, in which she recalibrates her planetary resonance to any higher frequencies of consciousness that have been contributed to her planetary body. This recalibration expands out from crystals and into all life on Gaia, beginning at the level of the elementals. The elemental kingdom is the building block for all third-fourth dimensional form. Thus, when these elemental building blocks for physical life are transmuted into a higher resonance, all physical life is prepared for the transition into a higher frequency of reality. Do you understand now why we have asked you to work with the elemental kingdom? Reality begins within its core and extends out into the composite nature of myriad smaller reality fields that wish to participate in the ongoing transmutation into higher frequencies of resonance. In other words, planetary shift begins with the intentions of the few, who begin this transformation from the smallest cellular level of the earthly elements of earth, water, air, ether and fire. The element, and elementals, of fire, are last on this list because you will complete your process by wielding the transmutational power of the violet fire, to transmute your personal consciousness into a frequency in which you can perceive the fifth dimensional octave of life that was always there. However, you can only perceive the reality that resonates to your state of consciousness. Within the core of your multidimensional consciousness, is your ability to communicate with the higher dimensions of reality. It is this communication that will guide you in your process of assisting with personal and planetary ascension. Imagine this core frequency of your consciousness as the sun of your being. Many versions of your sun self are orbiting you, like planets orbiting the sun. Some of these planets are far away as they were amongst your earlier experiences of life. The planets that are closest to your sun self are the concepts and ideals that you are in the process of manifesting into your present life. When you pull your attention into your sun, you perceive that you are a member of a galaxy. This expanded perception of yourself can entirely shift your perspective of reality. Suddenly, you are not one person. You are one with all planetary and galactic life. We ask you now to perceive yourself as just one person. From your many sojourns on third-dimensional Earth, you realize how lonely and frightening it can be to be alone on a hostile planet. But now, your consciousness has greatly expanded, because you realize that your consciousness is multidimensional, and there are many higher frequency expressions of yourself who are literally lined up to assist you. Now perceive yourself as one component of your multidimensional self. These higher dimensional expressions of your multidimensional self are all with you in this now, because you are a multidimensional being who volunteered to take an Earth vessel during this now of planetary ascension. Because of your agreement to assist with planetary ascension, you are deeply uniting with the planet. As you fall into the deep unity you feel with Gaia, remember that deep unity begins with smallest and expands into the largest. Therefore, as you prepare your Earth vessel for light body, you begin at an elemental level. By transmuting each element within your own physical form, you can deeply align yourself with Gaia, element by element. You will work with the alignment of elementals, because the elements that flow within and through your body are the exact elementals that flow into and through your planet Earth. If you are to shift something as huge as a planet, you must begin with the building block of that reality, which is the elemental kingdom of earth, water, air, ether and fire. We save the element of fire for last because you are preparing to enter into the core of Gaia to use your unconditional love and violet fire of transmutation to assist Gaia with her planetary ascension. In the meantime, we will assist you all to transmute your own Earth vessel, elemental by elemental, in a similar manner in which you will also transmute Gaia. You all have the threefold flame of life within your Atma. You all have the ability to love all life unconditionally. And you all have the knowing of the power of transmutation of the violet fire. All color is based on the frequency of resonance. The color violet resonates to the highest frequency of the light spectrum and to the highest frequency of your consciousness. Thus, violet light resonates to the upper threshold of every reality. Yes, there are many versions of reality. As your consciousness expands into the fifth dimension and beyond, your perceptions also expand to reveal the multidimensional world that was always there, just beyond the limits of your perceptions. As you can begin to regularly use the violet fire of transmutation, your perceptions will become calibrated to the fifth dimension and beyond. Meanwhile, you will be working at the level of the elements of earth, water, air, and fire. When the body elementals of your inner world are transmuted, you will be greatly empowered to transmute your outer reality as well. In summary, we remind you, where the attention of your consciousness is, there you are also. Therefore, when your consciousness resonates to the third dimension, your body elementals resonate to the frequency of a third-dimensional physical body. When your consciousness expands into a fourth-dimensional resonance, your body elementals begin to resonate to the frequency of your fourth-dimensional astral body. Then, when your consciousness resonates to the fifth-dimensional here and now, your body elementals begin to resonate to the frequency of your fifth-dimensional light body. Therefore, we ask you to begin this process by focusing on expanding the resonance of your physical body. You will begin with the earth body elemental, then the water body elemental, then the air body elemental, then the etheric body elemental, and finally with the fire body elemental. With this preparation, the inner fire of your Kundalini can awaken to welcome in the process of returning to light body. Blessings to you all. Remember we, your galactic family, are assisting you always.